This episode of What the Tech is brought to you by Slack. Slack is a messaging app which brings together all your team's communication into one place, making work simpler and more productive. Go to slack.com to learn more. Casper, an online retailer of premium mattresses for a fraction of the price, because everyone deserves a great night's sleep. Get $50 off any mattress purchase by visiting casper.com/Andrew and enter promo code Andrew at checkout. Hey everybody, welcome to What the Tech. I'm Andrew Zarian. Of course, actually, I'm not joined by Paul Thurrott. I'm joined by Jon Prosser on this special Sunday edition.
I've made my return.
You've made your return to What the Tech. How you doing, Jon?
I'm great. I mean, pretty good.
I have so much to talk to you about, but we're going to do something a little different. Normally, we have that opening pre-roll thing going on right before we start the show, but unfortunately, our editor is away, and I don't know if he's going to be able to edit this, but I do want to say our show today is brought to you by Slack. One of my favorite chat services for your company, for small business, large business. It doesn't matter. They're phenomenal. And, of course, Casper, casper.com/Andrew. You could get your mattress there. You get $50 off your purchase when you use our offer code Andrew at checkout. I also want to let you know terms and conditions do apply. And Casper mattresses are made in the U.S. So we're going to go into the show now. Actually, before we do that, Jon, you have been up to so much since the last time you were on here. You kind of blew up.
So much.
You kind of blew up.
Something happened. Yeah, I don't know what happened.
What the hell happened? I mean, first of all, you've been doing this for a while. You've been a YouTuber for years. You do podcasts. You've been covering technology.
Mm-hmm.
You stopped doing videos for a little bit. You took a break. You came back. You took a break. You're working on other
Best
projects.
thing I've ever done.
You did stuff with Amazon. And now you blew up. And it's all because of your hatred towards Apple.
I don't hate them. That's not what happened.
That's not what happened, Jon?
I love Apple, Andrew. That's why I made the video. That's why I made videos about Apple, was because I love them and I want them to do better. It's like a kid, but the kid got a D on the report card and you're disappointed now.
Yeah.
And you just want them to do better. You don't hate them, you just want them to do better.
Right.
And yeah, I made that video about Apple, and I remember the morning after I posted it, you were like, this is going to go viral.
I told you. The second I saw the video, I watched it in my living room. And
yeah.
Listen, I cover technology for a living. You cover tech for a living. Paul covers tech. Like all these people that normally would be into this, I don't count them as the people that will make you go viral.
Yeah.
But so I'm on the couch. This is early. It was like 10 a.m. So I think you did the video on a Friday or a Thursday, right?
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Okay. So whatever it was, I put the wrong URL for this thing. I'm losing my mind on Twitter. I really put the wrong URL, so that sucks. So I'm watching the video, and my wife, that does not really have a lot of interest in technology, right? She really doesn't give two craps. She goes, "Oh crap, this guy's good. Is that Jon Prosser?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh my." She goes, "Oh my God, that's a really good video." And what do we know? Like immediately, that thing blew up.
1 million views, like, and you said, like, the morning after, like, I was just proud of the video. It was so last minute too, like, it wasn't planned.
Yeah.
I was just like, you know what, I feel this way, and the video is just about, like, the video is called Apple Sucks Now and It's Your Fault, and it's basically just like blaming consumers because Apple are just making subpar products, and it's okay because you're going to keep buying them anyway.
Yeah,
that was the point of the video. It wasn't planned. I just put it out, and Andrew was like, dude, this was a really good video. Best video you've ever made. It's going to go viral. And that month was the best month of my career.
Yeah, it's amazing, right?
After that video, we got 30,000 subscribers.
That's amazing.
It took us 5 years to get 20,000, Andrew.
Yeah.
And in 1 month, we got 30,000 more.
That's really what it comes down to. Seriously, I think, I've been doing this for about 10 years now. And, I make a pretty decent living, and I always tell people it's make or break. Any day you could suck, and that people discover that you're terrible, and it's over. Or people, a whole new group of people discover you, and they say, "Wow, this is actually amazing stuff." So it could go both ways, Jon.
But it's fun that way.
Yeah, you know what's amazing though? The hatred. By the way, this can be a little bit of a loose show. We're not rushing it today. I'm having a glass of wine.
I'm getting messed up on that seltzer water.
You're drinking that seltzer water. I'm drinking some wine. We are gonna talk about holiday gift ideas and technology. What you should be looking at, what you should not be looking at. There is a lot of stuff to select, and I have to tell you, I am not on my not to buy list are these home automation stuff. Like not home automation. I'm sorry.
Smart home?
No, like the Amazon Echo and all that
Oh
crap.
yeah.
I truly dislike these devices, and I'll tell you why. We'll go into it a little bit. We'll go into it a little bit, but I want to hear more about Jon. I do want to ask you a couple questions though. Why do people hate you now? What happened? You were such a lovable boy, and now you're a hated man.
Well, I think it's just the vocal minority. I talk about it a lot on Twitter and stuff, and I like to I make fun of the hate I get. But if we're being honest, I get way more support than I get hate.
Sure,
I just like to make fun of the people that hate me. So I don't want my community to think that I'm like not paying attention, because I love them all. But yeah, it's just like this stuff, and I don't really see it in other communities. It seems like the tech community takes this stuff so seriously, and it's like a religion to them.
Yeah, but wrestling's like that too. I see it on the wrestling side. Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, I said something nasty about their favorite phone, and now I'm a hater. And like the biggest tech YouTubers started a fight with me on Twitter, just calling me a hater because they didn't like what I was saying.
Some of the people that I actually respect and I like.
I know.
Like people that have been on my show, and I saw that you were going back and forth with one of these guys. A very big YouTuber. A kid that it's amazing how he's created his career. I think we're talking about the same person. I don't want to blow anybody up, but I was shocked because this is going to spin into a whole different thing, which I kind of want to go into it.
Real quick, Andrew, do you think I'm wrong about Apple?
I don't think you're wrong at all about Apple, and I'm an Apple user. I use a MacBook, and I'm kind of in the same boat with you, but fortunately for me, my audience dislikes Apple. So they see it as Andrew seeing this side of the argument now, which I've never changed my opinion on technology ever. I've always felt that you use what you use until it sucks, and then you move on. There's no loyalty.
People only judge you by the last video or the last podcast you make. Like, they don't pay attention to all the other stuff you've ever said.
Yeah. You know what? Let's do this. I'm going to take a little break. And I'm going to thank our sponsor today, and that's Slack.com. So we were talking about Slack before the show, and you were surprised that Slack is advertising on this, because you and I both use Slack.
I love Slack.
I've been using Slack for a little while, actually. And I have to tell you, so I have another job outside of this that I recently took about 8 months ago, and people are very surprised that I accepted a job, but it was enough where I couldn't refuse. And the awesome thing, so it's a great company, everything is great, but there's many departments, right? There's a marketing department, there's an operations department, there's a promo department, and communication amongst all these places is a little loose. Messages that should be going across the company really don't get across. People get text messages. Some people are using other applications, emails. And I really got tired of having to chase down who knows what. So I was looking at, companies and services that I could kind of create a chat and create an ecosystem for ourselves to communicate. And it just so happened that Slack was the first thing that I Googled. And I was blown away on how great this is. So for people who don't know, Slack is a messaging app that'll bring all your team's communication together, giving everyone a shared workspace where conversations and you could organize conversations, and it's easily accessible. There's more than 1,000 apps that you could integrate, like Salesforce, Zendesk, Google Drive. You know what I do with it, actually? I've created different, I have the marketing department, I have the operations department, I got the management department, and I've set up their own little bubble, so I'm able to aggregate all the messages. Then we have a group for everybody.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. I'm blown away by this service. It's really made my life a lot easier. If you work for a large company, a small company, it doesn't matter. If you want information to go across everybody in your company, and you want it to be easily accessible and archived, where you could share creative ideas, and you could share images, this is a great service. Here's what you do. Go to slack.com and find out why this is an unbelievable service where work happens. Slack.com. I want to thank them for supporting the show. Jon, you are not... We're talking about Slack, but we are not slackers here. And I want to kind of go into this because this is going to be like a two-part thing, right? I want to understand why people are so fanatical about the things that they use. So you and I mean, we've hung out a bunch of times. We hung out in a very naughty place last time we were hanging out.
Yeah.
The DMV. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We were hanging out at the DMV.
Yeah.
So when I cover technology, I've never, ever, I treat it like politics. You know, like I don't subscribe to an ideology in the sense of I use Macs or I use Windows. I'm a Republican. I'm a Democrat. I don't like that. I like to use and follow what suits me. And I have the right to say this ideology no longer reflects who I am. This technology no longer reflects who I am. I don't really like this product. I'm not, you know, I've been using a Samsung, and I know you use a Samsung. Are you still using it? Okay. So I got an S7. I had an S6, and I absolutely love the phone. I thought the S6 was a great phone. I got an S7. Guess what? Not a fan of it. Not a fan of the S7. That doesn't mean I won't look at an S8 or the S9 coming out or a Note. That doesn't mean I wouldn't buy a Pixel. I'm very critical of Android because I've been using it for years. But I'm also very critical about Apple because I use it. And no matter what you say, people get really worked up that you told them the thing that they own is not that great.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like people, I mean, you know, people that follow us, they are genuinely looking for our opinions because they trust us, and that's why they watch our stuff anyway. But then there's those people that are just looking for people to validate their own opinions or validate their purchase. Like they bought something and they don't want to feel bad about buying it.
Listen,
they want
I'm
someone to tell them why it was a good thing they bought it.
Listen,
and then we don't do that, and we're the bad guy.
Listen, I do that too. Like I'll buy something, like let's say it's a phone or whatever, right? I buy it. The first thing I do before I buy it is that I look at all the reviews. And I like to get a review of someone that is a fanboy and really believes in the product. And I like to get the opposite side also, because that's the only way you could weigh the pros and cons. Then when I get it, I start looking into what people that, real people, not us, real people, because we're not real boys.
Real people.
We're not real boys.
Yeah.
We're real girls. Real people that are using the product, what they're thinking. You know, I'll go on like the Android forums and I'll start reading, you know, what people are saying because I want to know what's going to happen. And if the product sucks, guess what? I'll buy a new one, or I'll say, you know, it's not for me. There's always other options out there. The fact that this iPhone, by the way, some of the things that you say, I don't necessarily agree with. And I don't have to. I don't have to agree with every point. I don't have to agree with every point that you're making to like what content you're producing. Now, is the notch stupid? Yeah. Does it affect me to the point that I would never buy this phone? Probably not. It's not affecting me to that level. It's a stupid thing. What drives me crazy about Apple is their lack of focus and the fact that they are now like Google in the sense of they're releasing beta products to the public. And this is really a Google mentality. Google was notorious for doing this for years. Gmail was a beta product, just so they could say, hey, if there's a problem, we're fixing it. It's a beta product. And, you know, for cloud computing for services that are free, fine. But you can't release a phone, a laptop, a tablet that you deem, you know, well, we're still working on it. You know what the first thing that Apple did was that I said, this is interesting. When they released, I forgot which version it was, when they went from iPhotos to Photos. Remember that? I think we did the coverage. We did the Apple coverage that day.
Yeah.
So they got rid of iLife, the iLife suite.
Maybe iOS 9 or something it came with. I don't know.
iOS 9? No. I'm talking about the desktop. I'm talking about on the laptop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they got rid of iPhotos and they replaced it with Photos. And it did not ship with the operating system. It shipped later, which I found really interesting. And I said, this is a very different thing. Then they released that MacBook Pro, the 2016 MacBook Pro with the Touch Bar. And I had, by the way, I had it for about 3 months, and it was the worst laptop I've ever owned in my life. The problems, I mean, you saw the chronicles online and on the show. It was by far one of the worst laptops that I had ever owned. And guess what? It was $2,700. It was to the point that I was
$2,700 problem is what it was.
$2,700 problem. And you know how they fixed it? They gave me a 2017 model. That is how they fixed the problem.
What?
Yeah. They just handed me a new computer.
Was it better?
Yeah, so it's much better. It works. But then you start questioning, why would Apple release another MacBook, a couple months after, 8 months, 9 months after they release this one, So it's a very different company. That doesn't mean that they're terrible.
Very different.
It means that they're doing very different things. So when I'm critical about Apple and you're critical about Apple, listen, we're fans of the product. We want it to be successful, and the consumer should want it to be successful. We should be realistic of what's happening. So
that's the thing. Like, why? This is our job to report on, and you and I, like, we are the voices for the average consumer. That's why we do. That's why we do what we do. So when we don't speak up, nothing happens. And I hate that anything negative we say or any criticism we have gets turned around on us somehow when we're trying to help. We're not trying to be a hater.
Yeah, you know what it is also? I think it's a very small group of people, and you have a very different demo than I do. Your demo is I believe it's younger than mine. I think we have, because I do long-form content, you do shorter-form content. It's a very different thing, but when someone feels that you told them, you specifically, Jon Prosser, told this individual that what they bought was wrong, it turns into something very different.
Yeah, it becomes personal for them. It feels like I'm talking straight to them and telling them they're wrong.
Listen, guys, we all want this stuff to work. I want everything to work. I do want to ask you a couple things about the iPhone before we go into our holiday gift ideas. We're going to do the cheesy tech video content creator version of the show, and we're going to talk about products and tech ideas. Top 10 tech ideas you got to buy your wife.
Cyber Monday's coming up.
Cyber Monday's coming up, I know. At what point did you look at the iPhone and say, ugh, not for me?
As soon as I showed it.
That iPhone 10.
The iPhone 10?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there was a bunch of leaks beforehand. And all the leaks, I was just like, please. At first, when the leaks started coming out, none of the leaks had the notch, and I was like, okay, I could mess with this. This would be okay. But then, like, we started seeing notch stuff, and I was like, what?
Why?
No, that's got to be a prototype or something. But then when they showed it in the keynote, I was like, my God, like. And the issue is not the notch is there and it bugs me and it's this horrible thing. It bugs me because it's not what Apple would do. It's a design oversight. And this is a company that has made a name for themselves in design and user experience. And this is not that. This is the opposite. So I'm only, like, people think I'm always comparing Apple to Android, and they're like, oh, you said bad things about Apple, so you're telling me to go to Android? No, that's not what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm comparing Apple to Apple from years ago.
Okay, so let's go back a little bit, right? When they were releasing this iPhone,
yeah,
people were very excited about the iPhone 10. Actually, we didn't even know it was going to be called the iPhone 10, right?
People get bored, and it looked different than the rest of them.
It looked a little different. Actually, it's not that much different, right? It's not that much different. It's a bigger screen, better camera. People were saying it was going to be the iPhone Pro, a bigger device. And then they released the iPhone 10, and it has this notch. People are still buying it. It has all these issues, apparently, with the display. Google has all these issues now with the display and the product. I mean, they and it's amazing because you watch, I really can't, and this sucks to say this, I can't trust sites like CNET and The Verge and Engadget. And by the way, I'm not saying, I'm just giving examples. I don't even remember exactly what their coverage was. But historically, they're very pro-Apple. And when there's a new device that comes out, essentially what they're doing is they're handing this to like a 27-year-old kid. No offense to 27-year-old kids. They hand it to this 27-year-old kid. They're like, here, use this for like a week and write a review. And they're excited because they got this brand new phone that nobody else has. and their emotions kind of blind them when it comes to really giving a full depth review of this product.
Yeah. And if you notice, Apple did something this year that they've never done before. They gave YouTubers the devices early. Like they gave the top tech YouTubers the devices before it came out. They just gave it to them. But like that's where I have an issue. Like if you watch any of those videos, nothing negative was said. It was just like everyone's playing it safe. And you know that's just because like they wouldn't get invited to the next Apple event. They wouldn't get a device early again. Like I get why they're playing the game, but it just sucks because the people that have the biggest voice in the tech community aren't saying what they should be saying.
Yeah, they're not saying it. And you know what, though? Rightfully so. They can't say it because they don't have the product that long. It's all boom and sizzle now. It's all, you know, pyro and ballyhoo with these reviews.
And
they want it to be
like,
this big... the next iPhone is the next big thing. It's like headlines like that. You're trying to beat the other site.
With every tech product, they're like, oh my God, this is so great. This is the greatest product ever. Okay, the next product comes. Oh my God, this is so great. This is the greatest product ever. And they only have like a week before these products are like irrelevant.
Yeah.
And it sucks because like, okay, the people that really spend like a month with the iPhone 10, right? And they really learn the ins and outs and they do a proper review.
It's too late.
A month later, it's old news.
No one cares. It's over.
Yeah.
You know who does a really good job, and I'm not saying this because he's a good friend of mine and he's my co-host on this podcast, and that's Paul. Regardless if you think he's a Microsoft fanboy, he's not, you know, it's amazing because this guy was accused of, you know, being in the pocket of Microsoft for all these years. People, you know, throw that at him every time he writes something positive. Now he's being accused of being, you know, mean to Microsoft and the PC. So it's amazing. The second you, back to what we were saying, the second you don't agree with someone, it kind of messes everything up. But what is amazing to me is what he does is a first impression, the very short review. Listen, I got this product. I like this. I like that. I don't like this. I don't like that. I'll do another review in about a month. Or 3 weeks, or whatever. And then he does the long, full depth, you know, analysis of the product.
And I love Paul, but most people aren't like Paul.
No, because he doesn't care to make money off of, you know, sensationalized headlines.
Yeah.
Is the iPhone turning you into a woman? You know? It's the nuttiest thing, and I think it's crazy, the fact that people are now fighting to be the first video on YouTube with the iPhone 10 review, and they're not really reviewing it. How do you review a product long term and it's kind of irresponsible in my opinion to say this is this and that is that, and you've only used it for 5 days or 2 days or 1 day. You know, some of these reviews, they put it out within the hour of getting the product.
Yeah.
And there are other ones that say, you know, they'll say, you know, I'm doing a 30-day review after this or whatever. So it's funny because I was really, and this kind of shows you how things change, right? I was very negative of HP products for years. I was not a fan of HP, and I was a big Lenovo fan. And I actually, they did not like me at all. And I was at an event, and I started speaking to the VP of HP products, and he goes, listen, I really think, I listened to the show, and I really think you would like this product. So I'm going to send it to you, and you give your most honest review because it's great feedback for me. And he sent me a product, and I gave a really honest review of the product. I said what I liked, and I said what I don't like, but I didn't do it immediately. I said, I need like 2 months with this thing.
Yeah.
Because how will I... It's irresponsible. So every week, for 2 months, I would give a little update on the show of what I like and what I don't like. Now, am I going to get YouTube hits over that? Probably not. No one's going to care 3 months after the product is out there. Probably a very small portion of people. But I feel like for me to say, this is a great product, you should buy it, I feel like that is the only way to kind of send a proper message.
It is. I mean, that's the right and that's the honest thing to do. But like you said, like that doesn't rack you up a bunch of views, and that's what people are after.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that said, John, what are you excited about this holiday season? What products?
I have a Samsung Galaxy S8. That's what I use. I'm looking at
S8
I really want
right?
S8 Plus, yeah. I really want to buy the OnePlus 5T.
Yeah, a lot of people are very excited about this. I had the OnePlus One when it first
I had
came
the
out,
OnePlus 2.
and I loved the phone. Now, it was terrible for picture quality, and there was stuff that I didn't
Oh
like.
God, yeah. Even the OnePlus 2 was awful.
But what was great is that it was inexpensive compared to what everything else is. You could buy it out flat out for like $400 or $300, whatever it was.
Have you seen the face detection on the OnePlus 5T?
No, I have not.
Dude, it is stupid. It is stupid fast. Like, I would say 8 times faster than the Face ID on the iPhone. And the crazy thing is, it just uses the front-facing camera.
Interesting.
Like, there's not a bunch of sensors like there is on. I mean, the iPhone 10 definitely has a more sophisticated sensor system. The OnePlus 5T just uses the front-facing camera, and you look at it, and boom, it's unlocked, and like that's it. You don't have to swipe up after or anything like that. You just look at it, and within milliseconds, it's open. You got to see how fast it is. It's nuts.
So if it's $500. It's OnePlus 5T. What does the T stand for?
Who knows?
Turbines, turbo.
Yeah, they started doing that where like in the middle of the year they'll release another. It's like the S line of the iPhone.
Yeah. Listen, I've played around with this phone a little bit. The previous one, not this one.
Yeah.
And I've always liked the OnePlus products. I think it's a very unique company, and the way that they, sell their products and the popularity that they got with that invite system initially was really cool. Because it really made you want it because it was inclusive.
Yeah, that's how I got the OnePlus 2 actually, because I needed an invite, and I just started like whoring myself out, and I started asking the fans like, "Hey, do any of you have an invite to give me?" And they did.
Yeah.
So.
I think it's a pretty good phone. Paul has one. The camera's not that great, but it's pretty decent. If you don't want to spend $1,000 on a phone, this is a really good and clean OS. It's a nice phone. The product is good. But when I had the OnePlus One, the camera was so bad.
Oh, yeah, the OnePlus 2 was bad, too.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the privacy issues with Android?
In general?
No, this past week, what people found out?
No, what did they find? Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Go into it.
So, because I'm curious to hear your opinion on it.
Yeah,
because, like, people have different thoughts. But we reported it on the show, too, that Google devices since January this year. So for an entire year, people are like, "Oh, it's just since January." That's a whole year.
Yeah,
that's a long time. Android phones, even if you told your phone like, "Hey, I don't want location services on," like you could turn it off for each individual app. Location could be off. In fact, you could have the SIM card of your phone out of the phone, and it was still sending your location data to Google, based on the towers around you. So it would pinpoint your location and send it to Google. Even if you had all your privacy settings turned on, you didn't want it to share your location, you had your SIM card out, that whole deal, it was still sending all that stuff to Google. And Google was like, I mean, when they got called out on it this past week, and they said, "Oh, we were just testing it to see if we could help you get messages faster."
No, that's really bad.
And they're like, "Don't worry, we weren't storing it." But like the thing to remember is, if the wrong person got into that data and they could track you in real time where you were, Google could do that. They said they weren't storing the data, but like the bigger problem for me is that they said, "Okay, what kind of privacy settings do you want?" You toggled them off, and without your consent and without your knowledge, they still tracked you.
Tracked you. Yeah.
So what do you think? Do you buy Google Story?
I don't buy the story as far as they were testing. I think that they implemented something and they got, they didn't really relay the message. But, here's the thing, though, with all these apps. People are installing all these things all day long. And you really don't know when you say turn off location services in the app, for that app. You don't know what they're doing in the back end. And this is exactly what I've been saying. Listen, I go into it thinking they're always tracking me. That's I've always thought
that's sort of how I am too.
That's how I see it. What I have a bigger issue with is people installing applications and not knowing what they're installing. A couple of years ago, it was a big deal, you know, like these Find My Car apps. You know, you would now it's in the OS for a lot of these things. But you would park your car and then you would turn the app and it would find your car. It would know where your car is. And I would always say, okay, so if this got in the wrong hands, it's pretty dangerous that this application knows where you are at every moment.
Yep.
Some third-party company. And listen, maybe I'm not saying they're going to be criminals, but they could sell that information. It's stuff that you did not opt into. And it's scary. I go into anything I do online that is trackable. Everything I do is traceable, is trackable. This is my idea. This is how I use the internet.
Yeah, you just accepted it.
And I've just accepted it because it's public. Anything you do publicly is going to be public at some point. I do think it's pretty crappy that for a year they were doing this. Like look at Uber. They paid off what? 56 million accounts were vulnerable.
Yeah,
got compromised.
That's ridiculous.
What? I mean, that's crazy.
That they were paying off hackers to keep it quiet.
They were paying them off, yeah.
That's crazy. For those of you that don't know, Uber got hacked. A bunch of user data was taken, and they didn't want anybody to know about it, so they paid the hackers to keep quiet.
What was the other thing? A group of hackers got into. I think you covered the story. They covered this. Was it Twitter? Was it? I forgot what it was. But they contacted the company and they said, "Hey, we hacked you. Here's how to fix it." It was this week. I forgot the story.
Oh, YouTube.
It was YouTube. There you go. Yeah.
They started terminating channels, like major YouTube channels.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's scary.
It is scary. So, listen, at the end of the day, always go into it thinking that everything you're doing is going to be trackable. I have issues with anonymity online. I feel like anonymity protects for a lot of things. You know, if you're political and you're in a country that is very anti, freedom of speech, I think anonymity is very important. But I also think anonymity sucks when you got a 14-year-old kid telling you that they're going to murder you.
Yeah.
You know, there has to be. I don't know where the line is, but I go into it not thinking everything is anonymous. I think
this is a great segue, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think this the privacy stuff into. So you said that you're not huge on like the like Amazon Echo, Google Home, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I don't.
Why is that?
Because I'm old, and I think they're always listening.
They are.
No, actually, I don't understand why it got popular. And my theory is that it got popular because it's inexpensive and it's different.
It's inexpensive, and everybody made you feel like it was necessary.
It was necessary. It was the tech, it was the tech pundits telling you that this is a great device.
And this is the stuff that people, that is in movies and stuff that was a fantasy back in the day. Having your own little assistant, your own little robot. This is that thing. So it's like, it's a big deal. But I have them all. Like I work with Amazon, so they constantly send me stuff. I have so many Echoes. It's ridiculous. And it's just like I use them, but I would be fine without them. Like they don't add anything practical to my life to where I need them.
Yeah, you know what it is? I'll give you an example. I have a Google Home, which is probably less practical than an Amazon Echo. I got it as a Christmas gift last year. I've used it 4 times.
Yeah,
literally.
exactly.
And you know when I used it? I used it during Thanksgiving, and I said, "Hey Google, play Thanksgiving music."
Now everyone's Google Home is going to start playing.
Oh my God, it went off. Listen. Oh. Do you hear it?
I can't hear it now.
It told me something went wrong, and I should give it another try. So it's always freaking listen. I'm in the next room. Like this thing isn't here.
That's your 5th time. That's the 5th time you used it, and you did it on the air.
That's the 5th time I've used it now. But I really don't feel that it's necessary. I think it's a novelty at this point. I know you could turn your lights off. I know you could get the news. I know you could get recipes. I know you could tell it to play whatever on your TV. I get that, and I think that's cool. But we're going to look back at this in 10 years and say, maybe this was a little silly.
Yeah.
I also don't want a device listening to every conversation I'm having. Can you imagine? There are people that I know that are afraid to, like, show their driver's license to someone or They're really paranoid about, you know, how much money they make. They don't want to talk about how much money they make, or they don't want people to know certain things about them. But they have these stupid things in their house, and it's lessening, and I guarantee it's collecting some sort of data.
So I don't know if you knew this, but how often do you say like, okay, Google, or use, or like talk to your phone?
To my phone, very rarely.
Well, fun
Actually,
fact,
you know what? I have to tell you,
and
when I used Android more, I would do it a lot more often because I would ask for directions or things like that.
oh, okay, yeah. Well, there's and I forget the page. It's available to you as long as you're logged in. You can actually go to a page, and I'll try to give you the link so you can put it in show notes or something. But there's a page in your Google account that you can look at a list of everything you've ever said and hear the audio recording of you saying it.
Yeah, I've seen that, and it's freaking terrifying.
It's crazy, and it's like it's some stuff that you didn't even like say, "Okay, Google," for.
Yeah,
it just started listening to you. It's crazy.
It's scary, right? It's a little scary, but yet we're afraid to, you know, do half the things that we're doing, but we're letting this thing know everything that we're up to.
But like, it's whatever. Like, I want technology to advance, and I want stuff to be better for my life. If this stuff, if like my life is easier because 8 dudes at Google are listening to what I'm saying, whatever.
You know what? It really comes down to, what are you comfortable with?
Yeah.
What are you?
But I think you and I are different. You and I, like you said, you already accepted it. So did I. A lot of people aren't like that, and they're like, "Oh, privacy, I need it."
But they have. But
like,
you know what? Though they have accepted it, and they're being hypocrites at that point, because they're using these services, but they're complaining.
Yeah, it's like everyone on Facebook that like puts the status of like, you cannot, I will not pay for Facebook, or Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah. My account is private. Like, I love how you think that you have rights on Facebook.
These are the meme going around, that stupid like chainmail. That's like, and under Section 502 U.S. Act copyright. These are my photos.
Like, when you sign up for that service, you know there's a whole like privacy policy in terms of use that you didn't read that tells you they can do whatever they want. And like, I love how people think that they can just post a status on Facebook and it counts.
And it counts, yeah. That's how it works.
Yeah.
That's how it works, boys and girls. I do want to take a moment before we continue, because there's a lot to talk about. I want to thank our sponsor, Casper. Do you have a Casper mattress?
I do not, but I really want one.
Yeah.
Casper, if you're listening.
You know what? You should tweet them, because I think they would be great. So I don't know if you know this, but I have a terrible back issue. I have 4 herniated discs. Now, this is not a medical.
You run over by
I'm going
somebody?
based on. I was murdered once.
You were murdered once.
Yeah. No, I played a lot of sports. Don't look at me now. I was a great basketball player. I did football. I did MMA. I played baseball, and I'm beat up, man. My knees are bad. My rotator cuff is done. My arm only goes this high. But my back was the worst thing. And in 2007, I ended up in the ER. They did these MRIs, and they said, "Well, how long have you had back issues?" And I said, "I've never had a back problem. It just started now." Said, "Well, you got 4 herniated discs, and it's really bad, and you need surgery. 100% you need an operation, okay? 100%.
Yeah.
And I decided, I'm not going to listen to them.
Nah.
And I didn't. And I went and bought a mattress. I went to one of these, big box mattress companies, and I spent about a couple $1,000s on a mattress.
Sounds about right.
Like I'm talking like $4,000, something like that. And it was a very expensive brand, and every night I cursed myself because it was the most uncomfortable mattress ever. It was terrible. But it was, they put me on this machine, and they said, "Oh, well, look, your legs are a 95, and your arms are a 76, and your back is a 42, and this is the mattress for you." It was the worst mattress ever. And I was looking to get a Casper mattress. It turned out that they were going to advertise with me, and they sent me one. And and this is a real honest reaction. I found it interesting. I'm like, how good can this mattress be? At the time, it was it's inexpensive. It comes in a box, and there's a 100-night sleep guarantee. You sleep on it for 100 days, and if you don't like it, you can send it back. And there's all this stuff.
That's awesome.
And I wanted to just give it a shot. I had nothing to lose at that point. And it's memory foam, by the way. So I personally, at that point, I didn't really know much about memory foam mattresses and how it supports your back and how it supports this. And it's, it stays cool and all this stuff. It's breathable. And this first night I slept on this thing, it was the best sleep I ever got. And I'm not saying that because they're an advertiser at all. I would never tell you, and this is not a medical read at all. I know a lot of people that suffer from back problems, and maybe this might not work for you. But I have to tell you, it helped me tremendously. And the reason why is that it's designed by humans for humans. They combine multiple supportive memory foams for a quality sleep surface that it's just the right sync with the right bounce. It's nice.
It all comes in it's just in a box,
dude. It comes in a box.
That's so cool.
It's amazing. No, seriously, it's the best mattress I've ever slept on. My whole family now owns Casper mattresses. And they got a great offer. You could save $50 on a mattress at Casper.com/Andrew, and you could use the code Andrew at checkout. Terms and conditions do apply. You could read that at Casper.com/terms. But it's really an unbelievable product, and I really, really enjoy sleeping on this thing every single night. By the way, I run a little hot, like Jon Prosser. He's hot all the time. I run a little hot. And this mattress, actually, the cool thing is that it helps you sleep cool, and it actually regulates your body temperature through the night. So it's actually it helps you on so many different levels. And now they have 3 different mattresses, which is cool. And they got all this other stuff. They got duvets, duvet covers. They got foundations now. They got everything you could imagine. But it's a phenomenal mattress, and I absolutely love.
Did you know you sleep better when you're cool?
You do sleep better when you're cool. And there's nothing cooler than a Casper mattress. Casper.com/Andrew. You can enter the promo code Andrew at checkout. You save an additional $50 towards your mattress purchase. Terms and conditions do apply. So let's go into what you are looking forward to buying this year. So
nothing.
I have one thing. I have to tell you. I have one thing on my list. Obviously, I need a 4K TV. So I'm probably going to get a 4K TV because there's way more 4K content out there. I cut the cord, by the way. Yeah, go ahead.
Best Buy had a TV for Black Friday that I think was normally like 500 some bucks. 55 inches, 4K, was on sale for like 150 bucks.
That's phenomenal. It's so inexpensive. I bought my father a TV a couple months ago, not for Black Friday, but I got him the TCL. Mm-hmm. The one that comes with Roku built in. I bought him a 55-inch TV for $350, 4K HDR, the works.
Wow.
It's so inexpensive now. It's amazing to me how.
You know what's crazy too? Like so I went back and I saw the first episode of Front Page Tech, and in that episode I had done a story about a 4K TV that was at CES, one of the first ones, and back then 4K TVs were like 50 grand.
Yeah.
That was just a few years ago. It's crazy. I
remember, like, even a year ago, an 8K TV was, I think, $80,000. Isn't it amazing? Who's the guy that bought it? Who's the guy that bought it? How about the curved displays? How about the curved displays? Remember that?
Yeah.
So obviously, I'm looking for a TV and little things here and there, but there's really not that one big ticket item. If I was going to tell you my list right now, it's an Xbox One X, right? That's on my list. 4K TV, that's on my list. And something that I said was so dumb initially. And I see in Manhattan every single day, more and more people are using this. Almost every single person that I see, and at least 2 out of the 10 iPhone users that I see on the train are using this product. Do you know what it is?
What is it?
Those wireless earpods.
The AirPods?
Yes.
Andrew.
I know. I want it.
You want the AirPods?
Dude, I'll tell you why.
Tell me why.
I lose my headphones all the time.
What makes you think you're not going to lose the AirPods?
Because they're expensive.
You're still Andrew Zarian. You're still going to lose them. You're just going to have to pay more now to replace them.
I actually want them because I have to tell you why.
Wait, you said you bought them?
No. I'm going to get them.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to get them. I actually did buy them. I'm going to tell you something. I bought them when they came out, and I was offered $100 more over the price by somebody, and I sold it to them on the spot.
That sounds like you.
In
That
Penn
sounds like
Station. In Penn Station. I had him, and this guy came over. He's like, listen, I'll give you $100 more than you paid. It's like $150. He said, I'll give you $250 right now. I need these. And I said, okay, here you go. Random stranger wearing a camel. He was wearing a camel suit jacket. Never forget this man. So listen, I want him, right? Because I actually get caught up in my cable when I'm walking around in the city. Like, people bump into it. Like, I'm like, you know what? I kind of want this thing. So I think I'm going to get that. You have nothing on your list? There's nothing that you want?
It's weird because I feel like every year I do have like a few things. And like you said, there's that one thing that I really want. But this year, I don't know. I think it's because like, I think I've been doing better this year where if I want something, I just get it. I for the longest time, I always felt guilty. Like, if I spend money on myself, I feel guilty. But this year, I was just like, you know what? I want that. Give it to me now.
Yeah. Good for you.
So maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's because I just get it when I want it. But I don't know. I can't think of anything that I really want to, like, maybe if... You never know. That's the thing. Like, sometimes I don't know that I want it until I see it on sale. And I was like, okay, maybe that's worth it. So I guess it just depends on what the sales are. I'm not saying that I'm not going to buy anything, but I don't have anything in mind.
So I'm probably going to... I know exactly what I'm buying. My wife's not listening, so I'll talk about what I'm buying her. I'm buying her an 85mm lens for her Canon. Because she's into photography, so I'm buying her that lens. It's like $1,300.
That's cute.
Yeah, I'm getting her that. I will probably buy a 4K TV for the living room. I will probably... Santa will probably bring me these AirPods. Santa, which you're shaming me into not wanting.
I'm not shaming you, but Jesus, I know you're gonna lose them. I just know you. You're gonna lose them like 2 days into it.
Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know. But there's really not much like and then an Xbox. But whatever, you know. I really don't have.
But whatever.
I really don't have that whole list of like, oh my God, I've been waiting all year for Christmas so I could buy this. And I don't know if it's because I'm kind of like burnt out a little bit with all this stuff being released every single week. I feel like every week something's coming out.
Yeah.
And every week there's a why you should buy this and why you should not buy it. It's like an oversaturation of products. But in reality,
I know I will buy a OnePlus 5T for sure. Maybe not a OnePlus 5T, but I'll buy a phone for sure. I don't know if you know this, but I dropped my S8 Plus.
I didn't know this.
And I shattered the corners of the display.
Oh, you mean like this?
Dude, the worst. The worst.
You mean like that?
Yeah.
At $300 to fix this, and then I shattered the back too. $300 for the front.
Yeah, Verizon sent me this phone, so I didn't have insurance on it or anything, so it's just like... I just deal with this now.
Just send it back to them.
Be like, never mind. Here you can have it.
Yeah, take your shit back. I don't want it. It's broken.
I definitely am gonna get a phone though, because I can't stand having a cracked display. Plus, it's like I got an update for this phone the other day, and it's wrecked. It's a mess.
What update did you get?
I don't know. It was just some TouchWiz update, some Samsung update that came and just wrecked my stuff. It's just gone. Like my fingerprint scanner, I'll put my finger on the back to unlock the phone, and then it won't do anything. And so I'll just keep tapping my finger on it, and it won't respond. So then I get really mad, and I turn the display on. I swipe up, and I go to type in my PIN. And as I'm typing in my PIN, it vibrates like 5,000 times. And just decides that it's going to work, and then lets me in after it freezes up and wouldn't let me in with my. It's a mess. I don't know why. So thank you, Samsung, for that. Thank you for ruining it. That's great.
So there's nothing else you want, huh? Like no cameras, no nothing. That's amazing.
No.
Yeah, I haven't really bought much for me, and I think it's a lack of interest in the stuff that's out there. Like I've been waiting to get a 4K TV. But I think that's everybody. You know, everybody's been waiting to get a 4K because you want it to be kind of standardized and you want there to be content.
Plus, have you heard what the FCC did last week?
With net neutrality?
No. Before the net neutrality issue.
No, what do they do?
They have now made it that in the next 5 years, you have to upgrade your TV because they're putting requirements now to cable networks and to cable in general that like all TV in the next 5 years will be 4K and all that stuff. And because of that, you will be forced to upgrade your TV.
Again.
Like none of your old TVs will work.
For over the air.
Yeah, like
Wait,
they're
what
just
is it?
like
You're talking about ATSC, right?
no, it's just for content in general. Like because the cable networks will be going to 4K.
Oh, are they in 5 years? You think the cable
Yeah.
networks are going 4K in 5 years?
The FCC is doing this to go ahead and boost the standards so the technology can advance.
You know what? I'm
that
for
also
that.
means-
You know what? I'm absolutely for that. I am 100%
But like, what about
for that.
what about like, you just gonna call your dad and be like, so yeah, you have to upgrade your TV? Like we get it.
Listen, I lived through that. Remember, they
People
went
that
from analog to
did
digital.
just-
We did that a couple years ago. Everybody did
Yeah,
that. And by the way, if you had cable, you weren't really affected by it because the cable box was the converter for you.
yeah.
Remember that. I'm for this.
Yeah.
If they want to turn around and say, you know what, NBC, CBS, Fox, get your shit together. You got to be in 4K. And you got to, I do think they need a standard because I'll tell you why. I see everything, okay? My eyes see
But they
through
want a
the world.
standard for cable. They want to regulate that so they can advance technology, and then they're going to take away net neutrality. And
I
the
know.
internet's going to be ruined.
I
Why
know.
don't they know what they're doing?
They just, I think, you know what it is? I think there's a bag of just like shit that they've written down over the years. So like, let's fuck the internet up. Okay, let's
It's
put this
the
in the bag.
worst.
Let's make everybody broadcast in 4K. Okay, that sounds pretty good. Let's just, like, you know, like it's like a whammy. It's like a bad card. You draw that bad card out of the bag, and I think they got like 50 things in this bag, and they shake it up. And every now and then, you draw a bad thing. And this net neutrality thing is the doomsday one. That's like end of game, game over. There's no turning back.
Awful.
But listen, I have no problem with them telling CBS and the networks, you have to broadcast at this quality, and people might have to buy a new TV. I'm okay with that. I don't see an issue at all with that. I'm sure there's more to it that I haven't read, but I have a serious problem because I've been paying $260 a goddamn month for cable that I just canceled finally.
For cable?
Oh yeah, welcome. Well, it's a whole separate thing. I need all the HBOs and I need all the Showtimes.
Who do you have? Are you allowed to say or no?
Yeah, files.
Okay.
So I was paying $289 for cable, internet, and phone. I'm now paying $87 for just internet. I mean, I have gigabit. I have gigabit now.
But I assume you good speeds.
I have gigabit.
Oh Jesus, yeah. Oh God, I hate you. Oh, I hate you so much.
I'm sorry. I have 920 by 980, whatever it is. You know, it's not exactly a gigabit.
Sorry,
but
thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
Well, so I have the fastest in my area, and I have 5 up and
like
100 down.
Yeah, like 200 down. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing, right? If you are the cable company, the problem right now is that their infrastructure can't support 4K. Fios was one of these where they had these giant pipes, and they were, when they came out, I remember when I got Fios in 2007, something like that, they had over 150 HD channels, while Time Warner had like 35. So I jumped ship, and it was phenomenal. But the problem is they still probably have like 150 HD channels. They haven't grown beyond that.
Yeah.
And they started, because they do something with QAMs, right? QAMs are the channel, the bandwidth.
Okay.
So before, like, let's say like Discovery, when you would see like the frog having sex with the other frog.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what sold
Frog
HD.
sex.
I always say, I find it amazing that what really sold the HD movement was a video of a frog at the Sony store having sex with another frog. The miracle of high definition.
Yeah.
So, like those channels, like let's say Discovery, Nat Geo, whatever, they were getting like 18 megabits allocated to them, or 25 megabits of space allocated. And they looked phenomenal. And then what happened? They started saying, oh my God. So Discovery now, or like let's say NBC, right? NBC is allocating, 25 megabits on this QAM, but they're taking the QAM and they're splitting it into different channels. So now 10 years ago or 5 years ago, you were getting 20 megabits. Now you're getting maybe down to like 8 or 9.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no standard if you look at it. Like Fox is 720, man.
Is it really?
Yeah. 720, no alpha transparency on their graphics. It looks terrible.
Huh.
I'm telling you, like there's a
I cut
standard
the cord
problem.
a while ago, so I don't know the stuff.
Yeah, so Fox and ABC 720. ESPN, ABC property 720, which is fine for what you're watching, but why? Why not do 1080?
Yeah.
The argument as well between 1080 and 720, 720p and 1080i, and why can't we just do 4K? Why can't we standardize this and say,
honestly,
if you're
most people
broadcasting,
just
you
don't
need
see
to
the
broadcast
difference,
at the
so they
best
don't care.
quality? What?
Most people don't see the difference, so
I have to tell you, I'm shocked when most people don't see the difference. Like, my problem is I can't
Yeah, I don't
watch
know how.
sports. I can't watch sports on the internet. And I'm not like the craziest sports fan, but I have a real difficult time.
do you see like bit rate and
Yeah. I could
frame
actually
rate?
count frame drops. I could see
Yeah.
what bit rate. I could tell you what bit rate that channel's broadcasting at.
Yeah.
It really, I see it because I'm used to looking at it. Most people don't even see it.
Yeah.
You tell someone like, oh, this is on the internet. They go, really? I mean, okay, so you watch sports on the internet. Do you see it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Obviously it's a bandwidth issue, but
The worst thing ever is when there's confetti involved.
Why? Because it slows down and gets all.
Well, it just like it can't give us or encode that many colors, so it just turns into a bunch of just like your beautiful picture of the event turns into like a whole 4 pixels.
Yeah. Someone in the chat room said Andrew's superpower. It is one of my superpowers. I could count bit rate, I could see frame drops, and I know when the Chinese food is arriving. Now, I can't tell with the pizza, but only with the Chinese food. I know when they're down the block. My spidey senses start tingling.
Chinese food is so delicious, though.
I actually might have ordered Chinese food tonight.
That sounds really good.
Are we drinking? You're not drinking. I'm going to drink. You're hanging out for a little bit longer, right? You're going to hang out? This is going to turn into a shit show, ladies and gentlemen. This is our Sunday drinking show. So this is like a thing. I'm okay with them regulating this. I'm okay with them telling the cable company to get their shit together and to kind of, move forward.
Yeah.
Sometimes, listen, I'm not big on big government, and I'm not big on government regulation for some things. Some things you do need and some things you don't. But I have no problem with the FCC telling cable companies to standardize and move up in quality. And I have no problem, buying a TV. I'm sure whatever you buy now, it'll be fine in a couple years. I think this is more for, sets that are 10 years old. And if you don't have cable or a converter box, I remember that was like a big deal. People were like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to use my TV. No, they provided you with a converter.
Yeah.
So,
well, okay. So I totally understand. I'm all for like the government stepping back and there being less regulations and all that stuff. But there are certain times where it's just necessary because, okay, we'll talk about net neutrality real quick. I understand the argument. I understand why not regulating the internet could be beneficial. The problem is, in the history of the internet, it's never been. So like, and people are like, well, the internet was fine a few years ago before net neutrality. Yeah, but we put net neutrality in place because it was getting bad. That was like, that's the whole point. And Ajit Pai, the FCC chairman, like, he makes sense too. He's like, if we take net neutrality away, then the market can decide. The consumers can decide what companies succeed and all that stuff.
Okay, but the problem is, let's talk about the cable companies, right? We're talking about taking net neutrality away. They are not. The way that he's looking at it is, he's saying, it's based on a 1934 act, and it's our draconian at this point. The literature, the writing, it's all outdated. We need less regulation. Okay, fine. Let's go with that. Let's go with his theory. The other problem is, For most people, there's only one game in town.
Exactly.
I live in New York City, okay? I live I mean, literally, I'm in New York City. I'm in the suburbs of New York City, but I'm still in New York City, which you've never been to my house, right?
No.
We've just met at really bad places like
yet
the DMV.
to be invited.
Huh?
Yet to be invited.
You're always invited, John. Come on.
Oh.
You're always invited. So I live in New York City, and up until about 10 years ago, you had one option. You know what it was? Time Warner Cable.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. That's all you got to pick. I mean, you could get DirecTV if you wanted to, but if you wanted satellite then, you wanted cable. There's no other, still to this day in New York City, most places only have one choice for high-speed internet, and that's Spectrum, which is Time Warner Cable.
Yeah.
A lot of places don't have FiOS. I happen
Comcast?
to have... No, there's no... What are you talking about, Comcast? I'm in New York City, buddy.
There's no
Okay,
area?
so it's not like... Okay, so we are looking at this as Sprint, T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon, right? They all compete in the same markets. And some are better than other ones in other markets, but you, as a consumer, are the one that dictates which one you pick. You know,
Yeah.
you could pay a little more and have Verizon, but you're getting faster speeds, or you could pay a little less and get T-Mobile and get okay speed. Like, it's your choice.
Yeah.
It's in your control. Some are better than other ones, and that's fine. With a cable company, we don't have that option here. There's only one game in town for cable, and that's Time Warner Cable. In the Bronx, you have some spots have Xfinity, right? That's their only choice. They don't have Time Warner Cable. I happen to be lucky, and I'm in an area that Verizon deployed FiOS service before they stopped rolling things out. So I had a choice to go to FiOS, and I did. Most people don't have that option. You don't have a choice of Comcast or Time Warner. They don't compete with each other. There is no competition. So unless the FCC...
I think it was the owner of Comcast. He was being interviewed sometime, and they were like, well, how do you feel about competing with Spectrum or something? And he was like, we don't. They're not a competitor. Like, no one compete. We don't compete with anyone because these companies have agreements with these cities and these markets to be the provider in the area.
Yeah, they signed a deal with the municipalities. That's how they've always done it. Now I'm getting heated.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Totally, but that's the thing. I totally get the argument. I totally see why people are like, no, let the market decide.
Yes,
but they don't understand the market doesn't have the choice like they think they do.
I was explaining this to a friend of mine, and he's very much into lesser government, let the free market decide which services they want, less government regulation. And I'm like, listen, man, I'm cool with that. That's fine. But there is no choice here. And in many markets, there's no choice as to, you know how you do it? Okay, you want to do that plan? Fine. You know what you say? Those lines that are now whoever ran those cable lines, it is now available to everybody, just like how they did to AT&T when they split AT&T up. Those lines now become the lines that everybody could use, and everybody splits the maintenance, and everybody works on the lines, and depending and this is all maintained amongst each other. All the companies maintain it, or one company maintains it, and everybody signs a lease to use it, which is how the cable, the phone lines have worked. And it is now open for every competition. Now you have Xfinity, you have Comcast, you have Spectrum, you have FiOS, you have whoever else wants to come, Frontier, whoever else wants to come into the game. Now you can compete in every single market in this country. You know what?
And that makes sense. That's the only way that taking away net neutrality could work.
I would say, you know what? That sounds like a great, great thing as the consumer. Because now, fine, you've screwed the companies, because now they're going to have to be more responsible and be more competitive. But I don't care. Now I have all this choice. So if AT&T is saying this, or Comcast is saying this, whatever, it doesn't matter, because I could go to the next one. The other problem is these companies, if you think they don't have handshake, under the table agreements with each other not to compete, you are out of your mind. These companies, and we saw what happened with Verizon. Verizon came into the markets, disrupt the cable industry, and all of a sudden, these companies that had Spectrum available, right, wireless Spectrum, started giving it to Verizon. And what do you know? Verizon's no longer deploying Fios. Get out of here, you know? Like, this is nuts.
Like, literally every argument.
By the way, so someone in the chat room says, wait, someone in the chat room says, I have 2 cable companies and shitty AT&T DSL at 6 megabits. This is the problem. And I don't even have a choice of 2 cable companies, and most places don't.
Yeah.
Suncast, I'll give you an example. You want to know how bad things are? And this is with regulation. Actually, you know, here's a good argument. Maybe you figure this out. Suncast, You figure this out. Okay, you figure this out. Suncast, Jon, our engineer, our producer, our editor, the guy that runs my goddamn company, okay?
Yeah.
He runs this whole freaking thing. I'm just a pretty face at this point. He works his ass off. He's a phenomenal producer. If you guys need stuff edited and produced, he's the one to contact. And he's very cheap. Don't tell him that I told you. He can't get internet. He recently moved.
He can't get internet?
You don't know this?
Mm-mm.
He recently moved into a new development.
Okay.
He was promised internet by the time he moves in. There is no internet. Xfinity's Comcast, right? Which one is which?
Yep.
Yeah, Xfinity's Comcast. Xfinity, Comcast. He was promised he would have internet by the time he moved. He didn't have it. He was promised a week after. He still doesn't have it. And now they're telling him, we don't know when we could get you internet. It could possibly be first or second quarter of 2018.
Wow.
Okay.
What?
So, where's the competition? It doesn't exist. He can't even get DSL.
Yeah, and that's another thing the FCC took away this past week was like these ISPs are no longer they're no longer required to use the copper lines to ensure people get DSL or anything like that. So they could just not cover like rural areas.
Yeah, which is a problem, and I'll tell you why. There are many spots that have no cell. Like, he has really bad cell service where he is also, because they don't have a tower close enough. So his cell service sucks.
Is he in a farm? Is he in the middle of nowhere?
I'm telling you right now, he might as well be on fucking Mars.
It's because it sounds like he's just in the middle of a field.
He's in the middle, literally in the middle of a field that's becoming a development. They've recently started developing this area, but the telcos and the utility providers are playing catch up now.
So who's in the area?
Technically everybody, except they're not.
Okay.
They're deploying.
Everybody's
they're
in the area, but no one's covering that market.
Nobody's covering that area yet. They're inching in little by little.
Gotcha.
Little by little, they're inching in.
So he physically cannot have internet.
Oh,
yet.
dude, he physically cannot. It doesn't. It's
That's
not even like
awful.
It's not even like I don't want to go with this company because this. No, there is no internet. He has to go about 2 miles to get internet somewhere. Like, he's going to there's a place in the town that you could go. Did he not know this? No, he didn't, because they told him Comcast is there. They said Comcast is there, and by the time you move in, it's like any day now they're gonna hook it up.
Yeah.
It's like any day now. And he said, okay, you know what? Any day now it's gonna be hooked up. I'll move in. I'll give maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. It's crazy.
That's so.
And I'm over here.
So what does he do? Because his whole life.
Oh, dude, he's losing his mind, man. It's terrible because this is his business.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't just work for me now. He has a consulting company. He produces other radio shows. He produces a show for Sirius Satellite. And he's literally going somewhere so he could work. I mean, that doesn't sound like it's like a crazy, but he's going somewhere to use the internet.
Oh, no, you have to leave your home to go to work? What?
But you know what I mean? Like, he has to go somewhere to use internet, and it's actually very limited, and it's affecting my business. And look at me. I'm sitting here in my ivory tower with a gigabit Fios.
Well, that's because you're an asshole that is going to buy AirPods.
Can't they use dial-up? He can't. There's no dial-up. He can't even do that. I actually, you know what we did? We got T-Mobile hotspots. Like we just got like a cheap T-Mobile phone with like unlimited, and he burnt just so he could have some sort of internet.
Oh, okay.
And he burnt through the data in 2 days.
I bet.
They capped him.
I bet.
And they capped him, and he's down to like 600K.
Oh.
And I said, okay, so I was in my mind, I'm doing the math. I'm like, okay, so if we get like 3 of these, right? 3 separate services, and maybe I could get like a week out of each. No. It's nuts. I'm telling you, this is bad. I can't believe we are still like, it's 2018, dude. You know?
Yeah.
We're approaching 2018. We're in the freaking future.
Should have Google deploy their balloons, their Wi-Fi balloons.
Can you imagine that? You know what though? That would be great, right? Google comes into an area where it's like, and it's temporary setups. Actually, you know what? That's not a bad idea for Google to start doing. Temporary deployments of these balloons in areas that don't have internet, and then when they get internet, they leave.
Yep.
And they go on somewhere else. The magic man in the sky is showing up. So I think it's very interesting, and this whole net neutrality thing. I don't. Do you know anybody that stands on the other side of it?
I mean, just people in my comment section
saying what? Saying what though?
The free market stuff, and this is just capitalism, and just that real Americans would want to get rid of net neutrality, and just honestly, like, this is one of the very few things in life where I don't care. Like, I am full on, like, if you do not agree with net neutrality, I don't want you in my audience. I don't care to hear anything more from you.
Yeah, but I want to know why,
this is one of those very few things.
But see, like, I want to know why you stand on the other side. Like, I know why I stand on my side, because I don't want Verizon to come to me and be like, hey, by the way, you use this to do a podcast and you're profiting off of it? Mm-hmm. Even though it's a business line that you have, you're still profiting off of this. Well, like, capacity.
Okay, so there's a few different arguments. Number one, people are like, well, let's say, you know, an old lady wants the internet. All she needs to do is message people. She just wants to email her family.
Yeah.
So she deserves to pay $5 a month for an internet package that lets her email her family.
Sure.
But we could do the same thing today. Just give her less speed.
Yeah.
Don't restrict her access to websites. Just give her a slower package. I don't understand what the problem is. I don't get it. It makes no sense.
Listen, I think
people are like, well, the internet was fine. The internet was fine before net neutrality. Do you realize, like, do you remember this? I don't know if you remember this. Comcast was mad because people weren't using their phone services anymore, so they blocked Skype and all other voice over IP stuff. So you would sign up for their phone plan.
Yeah.
That was the internet before net neutrality. That's what was happening.
Yeah.
That's what is going to happen again. Without net neutrality, they legally have the right to block apps.
Well, they'll turn around and say, listen, this is a computer. Look at China, right? China blocked Skype and other VoIP applications.
Yeah.
In China, because it goes against the government-sponsored telcos, the government-funded telcos that are competing for the same thing. So technically, Comcast. Listen, I'm not an expert at this. I've spoken about it many, many times. Things change, or I got so exhausted with the initial net neutrality fight for just the conversation exhausted me, where I have really checked out. I checked out until recently, and I really want to know from the people that are not in the industry, right? They're not content creators. They don't work for the telcos. They don't work for, the cable companies. I want to know why they stand where they stand. And I think for a lot of people, and this should not be it, it is a picking a side thing. I think that's what it comes down to.
Picking a side is, and they just want to disagree?
No, politically.
Okay.
I don't think they see that this is not a political argument. This should not be a political argument. This is a discussion for everybody. Yeah. This isn't a left or right. This isn't Democrats and Republicans.
It really isn't.
This is not. This is a bad move. And you cannot follow blind. Back to what we were saying at the top of the hour. You cannot, at the top of the hour. Jon Prosser with the weather coming up on the 8th. John has the weather. 3:18 here on the East Coast. The weather. We got the traffic. We got Susie Smith in the GFQ copter over the LIE. There's been a crash at exit 59 in Ronkonkoma. Susie?
Let's go to the does Suncast have the internet cam? Oh, nope. It's still no.
It's still no, yeah. I think for a lot of people, they're picking a side. Like when you read the comments as to why they are against net neutrality, fine. A lot of people are against it for the right reasons. You know, smaller government. They don't want government control. Let the free market control what happens and how people do it. But
there is no free market in this case.
There is no free market. There is. It's not this. You go into a store and you pick one out of the 25 services that are available. It doesn't work like that. So
and people like you screwed. Like
I don't think people know, dude. I don't think people. You know what is it? 28 million people, 22 million people have fought for net neutrality.
So 22 million people sent comments into the into the FCC. 98.5% of them were for net neutrality, but the FCC has officially come out and said that public opinion doesn't matter. They're not following public opinion on this.
Yeah, so it's over. I mean, what's the fight now? What are we fighting for?
The last chance we have is Congress, but I don't think they're going to step in.
No, they're not going to. It's over.
Yeah.
No, that fight is over. So this is what it is. So now the hope is that the cable companies say, okay, let's do the right thing.
But you know they're not going to. They all say that shit. They all say right now, don't worry, we'll abide by net neutrality rules. We're for net neutrality until the law goes into place and there's no emotion. There's no emotion in the market. There's no emotion in business. They have the opportunity to make a shit ton of money. They're going to do it.
Listen, or the other thing is they do the right thing by their consumers and the people that pay, you know, for the service. They kind of do the right thing. There is going to be change. I guarantee you that there is going to be change, and these packages of the actually, Big Dusty says something right. It's all about the shareholders and that. So if the shareholders start rejecting what they're doing, that is a problem.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes time. So. You know,
those are other people that will benefit from not having net neutrality.
Well, no, maybe they do benefit because they're into it. They want net neutrality. You know, that's the hope. People do the right thing. That's what we're all hoping for.
No.
But,
nobody's going to do the right thing.
Listen, I think, you know, people say that the internet is fine the way that it is. I don't agree with that. I don't think the internet is fine the way that it is. I think the internet is, right now, we're in the Wild West of the internet. And there are many, many problems on the internet. Many. Some of it has to do with anonymity. And I think some of that, you know, we got to have a real conversation about that. We got to have a real conversation as to,
like, isn't it in China, don't they require you to have your real legal name displayed?
Yes. And Facebook, by the way, Facebook attempts to do that.
Yeah, they try.
But they try to do that, and Twitter doesn't. And that's okay, but I do think that there is a problem on the internet when it comes to that. I do think that there's a lot of...
But I think that falls back to individual services.
That is individual services, and that's their job, but some services don't care. Should the services be regulated by the government to know who their users are? And really care who their users are? If I'm making a post saying... I don't care, again, politically... If I'm very political on either side and I make a post saying I'm going to do this to this political person, right? And I'm using, you know, I've created an account where I could just create 50,000 accounts like this. Is that okay? And I'm not saying I'm on, you know, I have my point of view, but I'm not saying that my point of view is right. I think we need a real discussion over... We're going to give up some sort of anonymity, but how much of it should we give up?
Yeah.
That makes it... Like, I'm a public person. My whole life is public. So for me, I don't sit behind anonymity. I don't hide behind it. Whatever I say is public. I'm saying it. And I have suffered consequences, dude. I've lost advertisers due to what I've said on the air. But that was on me. That's my, you know, that's what I did. I'm not
Right.
going on, but I don't have the mentality to go on Twitter and start harassing Jon Prosser and start calling him Jon Prozac or Jon Prostate.
No, you call me Turd Boy all the
I
time.
call you
though.
Turd Boy. I do call you Turd. That's fine. I think, this is a real discussion to have. I don't know when we're going to have it. I think that's a bigger issue than net neutrality, to be honest.
No.
You know what?
What?
You know what,
How
John?
much have you had
Just
to
I
drink?
don't care for net
That's
neutrality.
not right.
I don't want anything to be neutral.
You're killing me.
I want it to all go away.
People like you and I are screwed.
I know.
Because like we post stuff on YouTube and stuff, and that's fine because Google's paying the bill. But how are our individual websites supposed to do well without net neutrality?
But again, okay, let me play the other side, right? The other side
Go ahead.
This is a unnecessary protection for something that's not happening. You're policing something that hasn't happened and probably won't happen, and it's overblown, and it's handcuffing the companies for no reason.
No, what do you mean it hasn't happened?
Let's say that's the argument. So give me your side.
But it has happened.
See, but by the way, I am for net neutrality. I am for net neutrality.
Well, that's what I see in the comments. They're like, the internet was fine before net neutrality. All the companies worked together. No, they didn't. That's what I hate.
Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, so here was an example, right? The argument for net neutrality. If I'm Amazon and I go to Google and I say, okay, every time someone's looking for a washer and dryer, I'm going to pay you X amount of money to have only me on the front page. And I'm going to pay you billions. I'm going to pay you $2 billion a year.
They already do that.
Okay? And, well, it's an ad, but it's an ad. But they can't take over the entire page.
Yeah.
Remember, it goes based on ranking, and it goes based on hits and all this stuff, how you get ranked in Google. But now, technically, without net neutrality, I could go and say, I want to be listed there. Forget about Google. Let's say Verizon. Now, with Verizon, if I'm Amazon, I want to pay Verizon to be the official website to buy products. So it'll be it'll be Amazon, it'll be Walmart, or it'll be AT&T has a deal with Walmart, and they only display Walmart, and they don't display Amazon because they don't like them.
But your ISP could also say, nah, you can't use Google. And the default search engine for Verizon Fios is Yahoo.
Perfect.
Verizon owns Yahoo. They could do that.
And you could pay a little more to have,
Oh,
access.
God, it makes me so mad.
Yeah. You know what it's like? You remember how AOL was? If you used AOL, you really didn't use, like, the World Wide Web. You only used their service. It could possibly become that.
AOL will come back.
I hope so. I want to go back to those days. Those days were great, and they were simple. 1997, my username was BoneThugNY. Really love Bone Thugs in Harmony. Could have that. Go on AIM. Have our profiles. Man, you're too young for this, John. You missed out on this.
What are you talking about, dude? I lived in AIM.
No, AOL. Before AIM.
I had AOL.
AOL
4.0. You know what I did?
What?
In the mail, I got a free trial disc for AOL. And I put it on my computer, and it never expired. I had AOL for years from that free trial disc, and it was only supposed to work for like a month.
Apparently, my mother was paying for AOL up until like 3 years ago, and she was paying like $49 a month.
That's amazing.
You know what was cool? I was part of that AOL beta program, and they gave me. So I had Verizon DSL from like 1996. Like I had high-speed internet for way before most people. Because we were in a trial neighborhood, and they were testing it out. And AOL in, like, 1998 decided, hey, we're going to get into this broadband thing. Forget about dial-up. Yeah. And they sent me a modem. Like, they hooked me up with high-speed internet, DSL, right? So they ran the line. They ran, like, a dry line. They didn't go on my phone line. They ran a dry line. They hooked it up, and it was, like, abysmal, the service. It was terrible. But they also gave me a high-speed internet phone. A VoIP phone, essentially. And it was nice. It was like this nice, like, it kind of looked like, it was actually crazy to think about it for the time. It looked like this. Right?
Why do you have that?
Because this is my my call-in system for the show.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So it kind of looked like this, and it was like a VoIP line. It had like multiple lines and everything. It was pretty cool. That thing worked for like 15 years. I think what happened was they forgot that this existed.
Probably.
And they just had it going for like forever. I never used it. It was just like a phone line.
Were you
I had like a special.
For it still?
No, I never paid for it. They just gave it to me. Well, now, I mean, obviously it's been canceled for like a decade, but like from 1997 to like 2005, I had like an AOL phone line, which is crazy. Listen, man, I don't know. Right now, we're in a very bizarre situation where
and we only got a couple more weeks left.
We got a
before
couple
they
more
lay
weeks
down
left.
the hammer.
Yeah, but I don't know what that means. What does it mean? What changes are going to happen? We don't know.
Okay, so they're gonna vote on it in like 2 weeks. Net neutrality is going to be taken away, and we're not going to see the issues. We're not going to see the punishments of removing net neutrality right away. It's going to be a slow burn, but in like a year or two, it'll be a very clear picture of how badly we got screwed here.
Yeah, I think right now we'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm gonna
go drown myself in a lake.
But can you imagine them coming and saying, like, hey, listen, John, you use Comcast and you make content. You got to pay us to use these pipes, man.
Yeah.
You're getting a million views on a video, and who's supporting that? Who's paying for that? You uploaded that to YouTube on our line, and you profited on our lines. Now you got to pay us a, finder's fee or whatever. Listen, I'm not saying I know everything about this. I'm just going based on what I know. Am I for a lot of government regulation? No, I'm not for that. But some things, it's possible. You needed the government to step forward and say, okay, we need to hook every house needs to have gas, or every house needs to have some sort of electricity.
Yeah.
You needed that at one point. Is it necessary now? I don't know. Probably not.
But it is necessary, Andrew, until we have more choices in the market. But we don't.
We don't have choices. It's not an open market. It's not a free market for most people. Listen, I want everything to go backwards. Okay? Here's my fantasy life. Just the internet's gone. Backwards. The internet's gone. Cell phones are gone.
Okay.
We're paying for long distance phone calls. All these tablets just stop working, and we're back in the 90s where everything is cool, and all we're doing is talking about Rachel's haircut.
Yeah, we won't need net neutrality if we just get rid of the internet.
Let's just go back, man. Life was so much better in the 90s. Everybody was happy. Right? Isn't that how it was in the 90s? I was
born in 93, so I don't know.
Jesus Christ. I'm old. I was 10 when you were born.
How old are you now? What?
34.
100?
Yeah, 34. Listen, I was a pioneer in this game. Now I'm an old man screaming about net neutrality.
Yeah, which means you've racked up a pretty hefty bill. I think you owe Verizon a lot of money from all the profit you've made.
Listen, give a little plug for what you do, because I'm a big fan. I have to tell you, you know who's a big fan? Paul Thurrott. He loves you.
No way.
He does. We were talking about you. We were talking about you on What the Talk. We were talking what?
I thought Paul didn't know who I was.
No. Paul knows who you are.
Oh,
Paul said something last week when we did the show. He said, oh, your friend John, he put this post out. It was really funny. I think he follows you. Yeah, I think he follows you.
I have to watch last week's episode now just to find Paul's comment.
I think it was on the pre-show.
I love Paul.
Yeah, I know you do. And he really likes you.
So you can just Google Front Page Tech or Jon Prosser or whatever, and I'm sure there'll be links somewhere. Do a tech news show that mixes tech news with like fart jokes and stuff.
Which is very well done. I have to tell you, the show's done very, very well.
Thank you, sir. You know what changed everything?
What changed everything?
I have a full-time editor. I don't edit anything.
How amazing is that?
It's the best. It's the best thing ever.
Are you paying him as crappy as I pay Suncast?
No, probably not.
Well, you did have to edit the other day.
First time I did. That was a mess.
Yeah.
Do you watch the show?
I do watch. I watch all the shows.
That's crazy.
You didn't think I watched your stuff?
I didn't know. I thought we were buds, and you were just like, if I want to see him or talk to him, I'll just call him.
Well, do you watch my stuff?
Oh, but that's not fair because I watched your stuff before I was your friend.
Mm-hmm.
I started out as a fan first.
You did start out as a fan, and then we became friends, and you stopped watching.
I did not stop watching. You upload so many things. You do so many different shows.
I do 2 shows now, dude.
No.
That's it. I only do 2 shows. What the Tech and Matt Men.
When are you bringing back the Andrew Zarian show or Free For All?
That's everybody.
Because you tell me that every time I'm on this fucking show, you say, "Hey, I'm bringing back the Free For All," and you never do.
One day.
No, not do it before net neutrality is taken from us.
You think I need to do it before net? You know, Spencer was telling me the other day he came for Thanksgiving. And,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and he was like, "We should do the Free For All. We should do the Free For All again." I was with him last night till like 2 in the morning, and we got bombed.
Why didn't you do it?
Because we were at Mastro's and we were really drunk. Our bill was like $1,000.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Me, Jess, and Spencer. I'll tell you what we drank. I actually have it written down. 6 martinis, 4 sambucas, 10 glasses of wine, and 2 vodka sodas. 3 people.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Surprised you're even functioning today.
Feel phenomenal.
High functioning alcoholic.
That's the way to do it. All right, guys. That's it for this week. Everybody follow Jon on Twitter, Jon_Prosser. Front Page Tech on YouTube. Just Google Front Page Tech. He's doing some amazing stuff. Let me see what. When's the last video? You don't do videos on the weekends, right?
No videos on the weekends.
So
no. So we started this thing every weekend, every Saturday. We do a live stream that we don't re-upload. So like if you miss it, you miss it. And it's a really fun like exclusive thing. Like we have like 500 people watching at a time, and it doesn't get re-uploaded, and it's great. So if I swear or mess up, oh well.
What is Not TV?
So Not TV is our new production company. We decided we teamed up with another guy. So it's me, Brian, and a guy named Richie, and we started a production company to make and buy shows that TV networks think is too risky for TV. We'll buy them and we make them.
Because I'm on that Not TV YouTube page, and there's not much going on there.
No, it literally just started. So we had one show in production that is still like being edited. We actually this past summer we filmed a whole season of a show. And that we just started putting that show out. Excellent. And we're starting the internet's first late night show.
And what like a Conan O'Brien?
Think like Front Page Tech, but just like all things viral on the internet.
And who's the host?
Me.
You're the host.
Yep.
I love it.
The show is going to be called Because the Internet.
Oh, how come we don't work together?
We should make a show together. I would love to do this every week with you, Andrew.
You know what? Why don't we do a show? Here's the deal. We're saying this now publicly. 2018, we'll launch a show. Okay. Let's say February 2018.
Deal. Virtual handshake.
Virtual handshake. This is how we do it.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. It's done.
All right, guys. We'll see you all next week. Take care.
Bye.